Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is one interesting world that we find ourselves in today. You know, everything we see, think about your friends, the people you interact with, how you keep in touch with people you went to high school with, people you met on vacation, and people you've worked with, etc. We live in a digital world which kind of fakes this idea of relationships. And, I sometimes get sad because I've been in this space for 24 years, which is a long time. But, seeing all the iterations since the 90s to the aughts and to now the 2020s, you know, there are a lot of benefits in social media. You can see what your friends are up to. You can kind of get the who their kids are and who they're becoming. If you can't really see them, that's what we set out to do. We were all helping the space grow. But what a byproduct that's really happened from it is this false expectation, this idea that, you have to have the newest, you have to have these things, products, and you have to live to a certain standard. I think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous for you to compare yourself to anyone other than yourself because you're enough, and not enough people tell you that, so I want you to know that. A lot of what my TikTok is all about, and really what my mission in life is just to help people be okay with being who they are. I grew up disabled, so learning was just a challenge for me. It still is, as is communicating. I have to think really hard about what I want to say to you guys before I do, and that's okay because that's just kind of where I'm at and who I want to be. But in turn, that's really played a very big and large, really a very large and important part of how I developed as a person. Meaning, I had to self-develop. I didn't have the benefit of being cool because I was short. Now, of course, I'm not short, but I was in high school. I didn't have the benefit of being, a person that people looked at because not being attractive is not my concern because I'm just a normal dude and I'm very pleased being a very happy normal dude. But also, there's something beautiful in just being yourself. And normal is not an idea. There is no normal, right? Nietzsche always talks about the idea of normal kills innovation, kills the individual. Look, normal is who you are that you feel okay with. It's not a social norm. I've said norm too many times, but it's very much about you being okay, being you. And really what today was all about is I don't want you to get worked up about what you see in social media. As a matter of fact, you'd be better served taking the time you spend on social and cutting it in half, taking half the time. It'll affect us as well, but I'd rather you take less time comparing yourself to others who are living a false life, whether it's an influencer, which I helped create the space, or it's people living on credit card, or it's people who just put on a facade of success that they don't really have. Most people go through life trying to be someone else. I think what we should endeavor upon is trying to figure out who we are. And look, it could be anyone. I have a million interests that I'm into. And those interests, when I'm around those people, allow me to become friends with those people. And they're every kind of walk of life you can imagine. And I think it's better to be open and be truthful with who you are and not set yourself up for failure. So don't worry about buying things. You don't need to. You have everything you need. And if you need something, we talked about before, buy it when you can really afford it. And then think about that purchase and make sure it's something you really want, because we all want things. Again, it's okay. This is a capitalist country. You shouldn't beat yourself up if you have things you really want. But you shouldn't just buy things to buy things. It's easy when things are inexpensive, but if you get enough $1 items, get 100 of them over a month, that's $100 that maybe you didn't need to spend on things you're probably going to throw away. The way I like to think about any purchase, and again, I'm a dad of two now, so my view on the world is evolved and is always evolving, is, I have things I want to aspire to, and when I can get to those points and I can actually afford those things, then I think about it and say, is this something I really want? And what's crazy is, as a car guy, which is why I say gearhead, I've always liked to wrench on cars, but now with kids, I find myself putting them first and wanting to be with them and set them up for success and give them the things that I have experienced, but the things that I think that will help them grow, right? Because they're half myself, they're half my beautiful wife, and they're going to grow up in a world that's very different. But I think for the individual, i.e. all of us, don't worry about what's on social. Like I said, everyone uses filters. I'm probably going to put a filter on this, which means it's produced. But most people show you their best sides, not their worst sides. And what we're about here is about talking about just truthfulness, who we are, because it will always set you free. So don't worry about the Joneses, quote unquote, what our parents used to say, or at least mine. Don't worry about what's happening outside of your little world, in your neighborhood. Be the best version of yourself, because that's enough. And always tell yourself that. And then go through life. And as you achieve and as you grow, cross each bridge as it comes. Because look, it can get overwhelming. Life is overwhelming. It is right now specifically. But we're here for a reason, which means you're here for a reason. So just breathe, take a step back. It's going to be okay. And give yourself the space to be happy.